In this episode of Filmstock Reviews, I'm reviewing episode 2 of Moon Knight called Summon the Suit. Now, this episode picks up right off after episode 1. Steven wakes up in his bed and tries to figure out what's happening because, of course, what happened in the museum where he turned into Moon Knight. He goes back, checks the footage, and we only see him running away from the jackal, but we don't see the jackal in this. Only he can see it and no one else can. Now, over the course of the episode this is happening, he finds that he has a storage locker and all this stuff that's in there belongs to Mark Spector. And we find out that Mark has done some things, so Steven takes this stuff and runs out of the storage locker, all the while being followed by Khonshu. And it's a great scene, has a horror feel and aspect to it, which is really different than what you usually see in a Marvel show or a movie for that matter. Now, once he gets outside, he trips and falls, he almost gets run over, and we find out that he almost gets run over by Layla, who, if you could know, in the first episode, was trying to call him, and he called, and she doesn't understand what's going on. We find out that Layla is his wife, or Mark Spector's wife. She's trying to piece together what's happening, what's going on. They go back to the apartment, and, Mark is trying to tell her that, if basically telling Steven, like, don't get her involved or she'll get killed. Well, she takes the scarab because Steven evidently shows Layla the scarab, and then these guards burst in, or they work for someone. They say they're the police, but they're not. So they take Steven into custody, or whatever that matter, and they take him somewhere. They thought he was going to the police station. No, he's going to meet Arthur Harrow. So we find out that Arthur Harrow explains a lot of things to Steven, how, basically Arthur knows that, it's Khonshu, because it's interesting because Harrow says to Steven that he was once a former avatar for the moon god Khonshu, and something happened and he, out and whatever happened. But all the while Harrow can't see Khonshu, Steven can, but Khonshu's trying to do all this stuff around him to grab his attention. It's really interesting. And this whole scene, basically we find that he has this cult, he's helping these people, it's a crime-ridden area, but he changed it, and they speak Mandarin or 3 different languages. He's like a messiah or a messenger for that matter, in his own way and form. The character of Arthur Harrow is really, really interesting, and Ethan Hawke gives a stunning performance, even though it's, not brought forth in every scene that he's in. Arthur Harrow gives an explanation between Khonshu and Amit. He wants the scarab, and then all of a sudden Layla shows up with the scarab. It's a whole craziness happens. Arthur summons another jackal, which goes after Steven. Only he can see it. Mark's like, listen, hey, let me take control. We can do this. We can win. The character of Steven is really annoying at times because he doesn't want to give over the fact that he doesn't know what's going on, but he's always scared. But when he's scared, he doesn't know what to do. And it's really annoying. But Mark is trying to help him, but Mark is trying to understand things about Steven. So all of a sudden, Layla's like, summon the suit, summon the suit. It's like, what suit? I don't know what to summon. So as he's falling out the window, he summons a suit, but it's the form of Mr. Knight. And we see this duality of the image of Steven and Mark in this Mr. Knight suit. And it's really, really interesting and really, really fun. Seeing Oscar Isaac play a role like this is really interesting. His acting prowess is insane in this episode, but done so well. Not only that, there's a great fight scene between the Jackal and Mr. Knight, but it's funny and it's a comedic moment because everyone else doesn't see anything and he just sees Mr. Knight fighting mid-air, but he gets thrown around like crazy. And finally, Steven gives in and has Mark take over, and then we see the full Moon Knight costume do its thing. Moon Knight is running from the Jackal and doing its thing. It takes out the crescent moon from its chest as a weapon, and it just goes crazy. And then it goes to an area where all of a sudden we don't know if it's Mark or Steven, but it's actually Mark now who has full control of the body. Mark is now out in the open while Steven is now stuck inside the body. You can tell by the mirror image that happens in the scene. Khonshu comes around and says, The reason I picked this body was for a certain reason. You were dead, and I figured you can be my messenger for justice. So it's really interesting how this episode played out. There is a great thing and an Easter egg. There is a QR code when Steven goes to the storage locker. If you actually put your phone to that QR code, press that link, it goes to the Marvel.com website, and you can read a free comic that for the Moon Knight, which is really interesting. I'm curious to see if they do that more in other episodes, which would be really great. This was only episode 2. I'm still getting used to the fact that this is not your normal Marvel movie or TV show for that matter. It's more dark and gritty, but it's not as crazy as it was like the first episode. We saw blood, we saw everything in your face. Barely got a glimpse of Moon Knight in the first episode. Of course, in episode 2, we got a better look at him with the costume and how he looks like he's badass with the moon shining on him, which was really great and fun to watch. But I want more. Give us more. The show is called Moon Knight for a reason. But understanding the duality, the DID that he has, the multiple personality disorder between Steven and Mark, it's really interesting. And by the end of the episode, we know what's happening. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next coming episodes, because everything changes. Arthur Harrow now is more so of a villain than you would think he is. Ethan Hawke is great. Oscar Isaac gives a great performance. But like I said, now that Steven's inside and more of a back burner, and now Mark Spector's taking over, which is going to be really good, because Steven was more so, like I said, annoying, and it didn't make sense at all. As I'm watching the episode, Mark was trying to, fight Arthur Harrow, but Steven wouldn't let that happen. If Steven let that happen, I'm pretty sure it would have been much better, but anything's possible with this show. I want to see the Egyptian lore focused on more. The backstory of Mark Spector. If you've read the comics and the first issue of Moon Knight and who the villains are and what these villains do, then you know the story of Mark Spector, the mercenary aspect, how he died and how he came back, what Khonshu did, and the whole Amit and Scarab thing. It's all in the comic books, but sometimes it does differ. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for sure, because it's a Marvel TV show. It's the most gritty and dark Marvel TV show, but it's done so well in a way where you can actually watch and enjoy it. Having Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke in a Marvel show is really good, because actors like this bring the dynamic out of the story and the characters, which makes it much better. If you got someone that's unknown, it wouldn't have been better at all, and would have had more so of what's going on and what's going to happen for that matter. Like I said, Moon Knight is very underrated as a comic book and even as a comic book character, because not many people know about it. They call him the Batman of the Marvel Universe. Yeah, you could say he is, but with the underlying factors and the villains he has and how everything plays out, it's really interesting to see. And I want one episode where it's just Moon Knight, Mark Spector in the full get-up, full costume, just, the entire episode just kicking ass and killing everyone, which would be even interesting and to see, because, listen, Kevin Feige even said that this show is not your normal Marvel show. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 2, Summon the Suit of Moon Knight. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What do you think about the character of Steven and Mark? Which one do you like better? Do you like Ethan Hawke as Arthur Harrow? What do you think his intentions are with the Scarab? What do you think he's going to do? And, what is this whole Khonshu thing? And do you think it's going to differ from the comic books? And what do you see happening in the next few episodes up until the season finale? Let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked. And I'll see you guys in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 3 review of Moon Knight.